Finney.
And I'm Kameryn McGee.
And welcome to this week's episode of CU Weekly.
For the first segment of the show, I'm actually going to take it over to Cam because we got the awesome opportunity to go highlight an event here on campus that was raising awareness for a great cause. Cam, over to you.
Hi, I'm Kameryn Finney, and today we're in STC in Gemmel to focus on a great cause. Sigma Phi Epsilon and Phi Sigma Sigma have come together to raise awareness for lung cancer. Let's take a look.
Brothers of Sigma Phi Epsilon and the Sisters of Phi Sigma Sigma spread awareness and raised money for lung cancer on November 17th and November 18th. For only $1, you could fill up one scoop of delicious candy into a plastic bag. The idea for this event came from Mike Caesar, whose grandmother is battling lung cancer.
My grandmother is in the process of having stage 4 lung cancer, and it's been kind of a surprise to us this past school year. Because she's had surgery on her, she's had kidney failure, and whenever she went in for a checkup, she noticed that there was, cancer building up within her lungs. So I haven't really seen that much on campus, just to raise the awareness. I mean, cancer awareness all in all is good to see. I see a lot for breast cancer. October is National Breast Cancer Month awareness. And then November is Lung Cancer Awareness Month. So I kind of just wanted to share the awareness around the Clarion University and just offer a little treat along with their donations if they would like to donate.
Lung cancer is the top killing cancer in the United States. November is Lung Cancer Awareness Month. Bringing awareness to such a harmful disease and having events like this one will help more Americans understand how important prevention is.
My Nana actually had lung cancer. She passed away in 2008, and just seeing the way the illness takes over not only that individual but that individual's family, it definitely had a great effect on me. And now that Michael's going through it and a lot of our other sisters have experienced it, we just want to give back and raise more awareness about an illness that takes so many lives.
After day 2 of this event, Mike Caesar told us it raised over $100. Thanks to all that scooped up some candy for a cure.
There's a new place to eat in town. Clarion River Brewing Company opened its doors to the public recently. We have all the details for you. The Clarion River Brewing Company describes itself on its website as a microbrewery restaurant nestled in the heart of historic Clarion County, Pennsylvania, a place where delicious food, handcrafted beer, and history reside. And walking into the relatively new business on Main Street, it's hard to disagree with that statement. The Clarion River Brewing Company, or as some call it, the brewery, is full of finely crafted, unique beers. Food inspired from different places and loads of hospitality.
I've attempted 2 other times in starting a business here in Clarion. One was the Bathtub and the second one was 6th and Main Market, both housed in this building. And over the course of the last few years, things were starting to change slightly due to economic problems. Owens, Illinois closing, and the university, Sealy, those types of things. So I had always thought about owning a restaurant, and my chef at the time brought in a gentleman named Doug Caldwell, who's a brewmaster. We started to talk about things, and the next thing you know, we said, well, what should the name be if we decide to do this? And there was no question. We had to have the river involved in it somehow, because with tourism in northwestern Pennsylvania being so beautiful, Clarion River is one of the prettiest rivers I've ever seen. When we created a beer, we would name it after something historic. So not only would you be trying something new, but you would be learning about something old. So for instance, one of our flagship beers, which means it's one that we'll have on tap all the time, is called Leatherwood. And it's based on the Anti-Horse Thief Association that used to be an organization that you would belong to and help those retrieve the horses that had been stolen. Because at the time, with northwestern Pennsylvania having so many trees, you could hide a lot of horses and no one would really know it.
Originally funded with the help of a Kickstarter, the brewery climbed up the ranks to quick success once it opened its doors just a few weeks ago in Clarion. The restaurant and brewery opened on October 30th at 5 p.m., and the steady business hasn't stopped since.
But when we decided upon the menu, we wanted to have more of a bistro kind of feel with a pub surrounding. So not everything is deep fried. There's nothing wrong with deep frying, don't get me wrong. But we wanted to bring back some traditionals but deconstruct them. So our chicken pot pie is absolutely fabulous, but instead of it being made inside of a pie crust, we have the puff pastry on top. And our beef stroganoff, we've done a little twist with that. And then of course we've tried to bring in some new things like langostino carbonara, which is, it's not really a relative of the lobster, but it tastes a lot like lobster. And so he brought that in. And then our fries, of course, are beer battered and they have a little twist to them. They're a bigger fry, but they're curly. So instead of just going with a straight fry. So he really researched a lot, and the creme brulee is his own, and it's fabulous. And then we also have a death by chocolate cake that you can't go wrong with. But a lot of our appetizers, we've taken the concept of the chicken wing, but we're using a duck wing instead.
The atmosphere is also a perfect fit for the natural landscape and history of the Clarion area. Even the names of the beer are significant as they harken back to particular tidbits of local history.
When our beer is ready in January, February, when you come in, I don't know if you notice on the posters that we have, there are symbols. So for instance, with Clarion River, it's just a symbol with what is just a very simple graphic of a river. Another one is of it's a knife, and it's based on a murder of Wojciech and Stupka. Any of the beers that we create will have a symbol associated with them. And then when you come in and look at the menu, let's say your tempura shrimp that we'll serve with the sweet chili and sriracha sauce. We'll have that, and then with the symbol next to it, most likely it's going to be like a cream ale that will go with that. And so that will be 1841. And that's based on when the Clarion Borough incorporated.
The unique place for a drink and a bite can be found on 600 Main Street in Clarion. You can contact them for information and reservations at 814-297-8399. Whether you're old enough to have a refined drink or at the age where you can just enjoy the splendid cuisine, all should check out Clarion's newest eatery and business.
Up next, you've probably got an email from him and you know his name, but you don't know what he looks like. Stay tuned for an interview with David Love.
You think getting dumped by text is harsh? Try getting dumped by a tennis ball. My ex-owner drove me out to the woods, yelled fetch, and by the time I brought the ball back, he was gone. Yeah, I was pissed. But the folks at the shelter helped me let go of my anger. I learned coping skills, like taking it to the hole. Boom! Now I'm ready to fetch again. But how about I throw and you run and get it?
Sure, I look cute now, but when my owner lost his job, it was rough. I was living on the street, and one night, me and this Cocker Spaniel got into it so bad, I wound up looking like an ice cream cone. I cried a little bit, but thankfully I got rescued, so I'm running, I'm jumping, all back to my old self, and I'm ready to give unconditional love, even if you put a lampshade on my head.
Page. David Love is the university email guy, but what you might not know is he is the Director of Marketing and Communication and a former university student here at Clarion.
My name's David Love. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communication at Clarion University. I'm responsible for all of the promotional activities at the university. Student recruitment is priority number one for us. We want to make sure that students out there, not just in Western Pennsylvania, but farther out, know that Clarion University is here and it's an option for them. So mainly what we do is we do a variety of TV advertising, radio, print, online, just to make overall awareness, make the university make people more aware of the university. Well, I think that I'm a first generation college student. Neither of my parents went to college. So I think that, although that's not courageous as in the sense of putting your life on the line, I think that anybody that comes from that background of a blue-collar background, and they're the first one in college, you got to kind of learn the ropes because your parents really didn't know it. So I empathize with, we have a large number, almost 60% of our students are still first generation here 25 years later. So I guess I'm confident in the fact that Clarion can put our students in a position where they can have great careers and have great lives. The biggest thing that is the same is that there is this work ethic and there is this kind of grit that students have at Clarion. You know, they're saying that they don't complain, they come in, they know they have to work, they have to go to class, they have to get things done. That is exactly how it was back whenever I went to school back in the late 80s. But what has changed? Mainly a lot of technology. Back there, email was king, email was new. You can imagine no social media, no Wi-Fi, none of that. So a lot has changed with technology. And from a marketing standpoint, that helps us because there's more channels to make people aware of who we are. One thing, whenever I was a comm major here, it was required that every year you had to be involved in, we had yearbooks back then. So that's something that's different. But we had yearbooks, the Clarion Call was here at the time, the TV station was here, and the radio station. And we were required to get involved in all of these activities. It wasn't an option. We had to do it. That kind of forced me to force myself out of my shell a little bit and get more involved. And I was a DJ here for 3 of the 4 years and really enjoyed it. Big thing we're working on, we have a call with, we work with an outside marketing firm that kind of helps us with our marketing activities. We are working on our spring awareness campaign. Basically what we're going to be doing, whether we're going to be doing TV or print or radio. I think we're going to be doing a lot of digital, a lot of stuff on websites, a lot of social media. So right now we're developing that plan so that we can use our budget wisely to raise awareness of the university. So that's priority number one, what we're doing, working on the spring plan. I'm the email guy, although sometimes you get emails from other people in my office. But basically, we made a decision almost 5 years ago not to inundate students with emails. It used to be that anybody that wanted to send something to a student or a group of students could do that. We now kind of use eDigest, which comes out twice a week. And also, I'm one of the few people that is allowed to send mass email out to students, just so that it's funneled into me. I can take a look at the message, make sure it's accurate, so that the email that you are getting is at least 99% of the time is accurate, and hopefully it's something that's helpful. I think that I probably echo what the president has said. I think it's very unfortunate for the students and everybody involved in that production to have everything ready to go and then have to close down. I feel very bad for the students who were part of that production and not being able to realize their dream of being on stage and doing these roles. And I think the community is going to miss out on a very potentially controversial play, but something that universities should be bringing to small towns. So I think it's just sad all around. Anytime I get a chance to talk to students, and the students here are just such they're really good kids. They want to do well, they need some guidance. So what I would just recommend to students is just find a nice balance between your social life and your school life, and make sure you do well in your classes, but take full advantage of getting to know people, getting involved, and so that 4 years later or 5 years later, whenever you graduate, you'll have this very, very rich experience to always look back on. I look back on my experience at Clarion very fondly, and it's changed who I am, and it's opened doors for me and given me a lot of opportunity. And it can happen to you.
Well, now you know how David Love feels about the Jesus in India incident that happened. When we come back, we'll hear from our student perspective right here on CU Weekly.
I like to eat apples and bananas. I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
1 in 5 children struggles with hunger in America. Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
The small-town school of Clarion University of Pennsylvania was recently the center of an unusual controversy that ended up having large social and racial implications across the nation. It's been covered on a national scale, but nevertheless, the Eagle Media Production House decided to look into it for ourselves.
Jesus in India is a coming-of-age tale that has been adapted from a book to a theater production by playwright Lloyd Sue. The creative piece tells the fictional story of the teenage years of Jesus that are not detailed in the New Testament.
This play was about 18-year-olds, and with enormously high stakes. This is Jesus at 18 as a rebel. If he doesn't get his act together, we don't have Christianity. So the stakes are very high.
Abigail is Jesus' friend from their hometown, Galilee, Nazareth, and she's kind of in love with him. That we think that's why she went along with him. And then they travel to India. He discovers that he loves it there and says, like, yo, I want to stay here. And I don't mean we, I mean just me, so you can go away. So she goes back to home, and then war breaks out because Herod is killed. Romans are overrunning everything, and the Jews are being punished. And so she comes back and says, Jesus, like, we need you. Now, meanwhile, Jesus has a family now. He's got a kid on the way. And so she just convinces him that, like, this is what he needs to do. He needs to come back and, save his people.
With an attention-drawing title and the promise of Clarion University's theater program to make it into an original musical, there was a lot to look forward to for theater lovers, students, faculty, and the Clarion community alike.
Dr. Brent Register of the music department was there. After we read it, I said, what do you think? You think we could make this a musical? I think this could be a really great musical. And he was also excited about the idea. So I got back to the agent and asked for permission to musicalize the script. They requested that we give them a sample song. So we recorded a sample song from the show. We wrote the first song of the show and sent it. We received their approval by email. So at the end of the summer, after the score had been written, we requested the rights through the agent. They then sent us a contract, which we signed and returned with the check for the performance rights.
I think because it's so different. Like, I've never been in a production that's like this, that, no student that I know of gets to develop something. This had never been done as a musical. It was brand new. And so that was really exciting to get to, actually, have your creativity
solely come from you. You have nobody to go off of. And so it was all ours. And so that's what was so exciting about it.
Clarion University's production of Jesus in India was supposed to have its opening night on Wednesday, November 18th, but instead the theater space was mostly empty that night. The reason? Clarion University's theater program had respected the creative vision of the playwright, as he had found out about the casting of the production that left him unsatisfied, as some Asian characters were set to be portrayed by white actors. He requested his play to not be performed in this way, and the students and faculty involved in the production decided to respect that decision.
With all the potential controversy that we could have had, I was surprised that this just was a casting thing. It wasn't anyone's fault. It was just the playwright decided that this was his choice to talk about. And
had I known that the playwright felt so strongly about casting Asians in those parts, I would have either tried to explain to him our situation and see if I could get him to agree, or I would have chosen not to do the play at this time until we had the proper casting pool.
I don't think I would change our decision. It's what the playwright stands for, and I respect his decision on what he stands for. If I stood for something that large, I would have the same intent.
Nevertheless, they were shocked at the sudden situation and were very disappointed by it.
The way I described it was, when you get informed of a death in the family, your heart drops into your stomach, you can't really comprehend anything, and it takes a moment to come back to reality. And that's exactly what happened. We had no idea that this was going to happen. It wasn't even a concern, so it felt like a stab to the gut, honestly.
My first reaction when Mel brought us all in the lobby and told us that the show was canceled was, this just can't be real. This would never happen to some college production. You don't hear of this much. This doesn't happen to a lot of people in their careers, and to happen my first show ever as a stage manager was just crazy. I mean, a lot of us cried because our emotions were just overwhelmed.
I was stunned. I was hopeful that we could find a resolution. We asked my department chair to look into contract issues and to contact the agent that we'd been working through to see if we could come to some sort of resolution so that we could perform the play. We offered him a page in the program so that he could explain his point of view and his objections. We also offered to do a speech before each production explaining that he had objections and why, and also why we made the choices that we did, but to no avail.
Well, I was really surprised because I knew the production was coming along. People were preparing. In fact, I was going to figure out when I was going to go down and get my tickets, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's being canceled.
After the cancellation of this production, the isolated event on a rural college campus exploded into media coverage of a controversy that has social and racial implications at its core. Many have debated about the creative issues creators such as actors, playwrights, and directors must face in touchy situations like this, and this debate has made its way from local papers like the Clarion Call and the Derrick, all the way to the New York Times and the Chronicle of Higher Education.
I think the fact that we requested to speak with him shows that we weren't trying to hide anything from him. Mm-hmm. As far as the publicity goes, our initial statement about the play said the play is canceled for reasons beyond our control, and we said nothing about why the play was canceled.
This isn't just a play. This is a production. It's a body of work that involves our faculty, students, involve patrons who are going to come to a play. So it's not just a play. It's a body of work, an intellectual work, a creative work of our students and our faculty being produced for the community, but it's got lots of levels. It has multiple purposes. So it's not just my enjoyment of a play or yours, but it's the fact that it's a body of work, and for several of our students, it was their culminating project of their time here, of their bachelor's degree. So it has this situation has multiple layers to it, depending who you are. So in a way, this is kind of a drama in a play.
I think the controversy might have got a little bit too out of control too quickly, where it could have been maintained at a regular level rather than just suddenly everything all at once.
I respect the faculty's decision to honor the playwright's sudden decision to attempt to pull their rights to allowing us to produce their work. I think we should always look for the teachable moment. I think we should always, as educators, working with our students, working with our alumni in the community and friends of Clarion University, look for the teachable moment. What do we have to always learn, to improve, to do better?
The students that did work on it had a very rich educational experience where they learned a lot about differing religions, they learned about different cultures, they learned about a historical period that they only sort of had a glancing knowledge of from, say, Sunday school. So I think it was a good experience. I don't regret it. My only regret is that I didn't have better communication.
It may be small, but it stands for big ideals. This is actually a situation that has great depth to it, and it entangles many values and principles that we hold dear.
We reached out to playwright Lloyd Sue for an interview or written comments explaining his position, but he never responded to our inquiry.
I'm just really sad. We're sitting here, all of us, in this empty theater that a week ago was filled with artists of all sorts, visual artists, technicians, actors, musicians, doing beautiful work. And I'm so sorry that people don't get to see it. We were supposed to open tonight. This is not what this theater was supposed to look like tonight. So that makes me very, very sad.
The Clarion University Theater program still plans on producing some new and exciting shows in the spring semester. For now, though, all of the parties involved in this complicated situation have a chance to sit back, reflect, and learn a thing or two about the entertainment industry and what social issues can seep into that world.
So, onward, we'll keep moving forward.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of CU Weekly, and thanks for tuning in general this semester to our brand new feature show on the Clarion campus, where we discuss features regarding the community and the university. But until we return for Season 2 next spring, we'll see you later.